Hi, this is Manuel, Delta Lima 2 Mike Alpha November. Welcome back to my channel. In the last years, it has become quiet around the uSDX, and this is about to change. The same tools I was using to develop RDOP WinLink, RDOP Chrome, the single file client, WinLink client for browser, I'm using now to completely rework the firmware of the uSDX. This is now ongoing for around about 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm far away from something to publish. I'm running through all the obstacles that Guido had to overcome in the past. Yet, what I already have, I want to show you today to give you a little sneak peek what to expect, what's probably about to come soon or not soon. I don't know. Depends on my time that I spend or can spend and the money I can invest in the AI tools that I'm using to do that. But what I have is already pretty impressive, and just for your own imagination, just for your own inspiration, what can be done, even if you have no clue what you're doing, just by using the right tools. I want to show you that. It's meant as an inspiration and, of course, as motivation to not give up on the uSDX. There is about to come some really great stuff. And just to mention that up front, Guido will have the last word on firmware. Even though I'm doing now all this rework thing, nothing will be released without his blessing. Just to make that clear. But let's go over to my workbench and I'm going to show you the exciting new stuff, right? Before I start with the demonstration, I'm going to show you my setup here. This is my Shack computer. This is connected via USB to the uSDX. This is on a 40 dB tap. Insert a signal in the variable tap, and that one goes directly to the input of my IC7300, and I'm using the ICOM, the commercial transceiver, as a measurement tool here. I'm going to show you in a minute why and what's the practical thing about it. But as a byproduct of all this development, there were some tools on the way. And I'm going to show you the first one here. By far, one of the most complaints in my forum were problems with being able to flash firmware. So the first thing, or one of the first things I did, was a firmware flashing tool that is in HTML, and that will be ran in future on my homepage. So you can connect your uSDX directly to your computer where you have a browser. On my page, you download the firmware and it will be flashed directly into your uSDX. I'm going to show you now how that works. I already have the file I want to flash. I'm going to connect and flash, connect it, and it will be flashed. See the progress bar? It's as easy as that. Now let's have a look at the uSDX. It will reset in a second when the firmware is up. And there we are. This has worked. Now you will realize that it looks really different, and this is actually the calibration firmware. What I did is I split up the single firmware into two firmwares. This is the calibration firmware, which has to be flashed first. You do your calibration. This is a calibration wizard. I'm going to walk you through that. And after that, you're going to flash the work firmware. Now, the first thing it asks you is, what band configuration do you have? So this is a low band, so I'm going to select low band. Now it's asking me to on which band to calibrate. I'm going to select 20 meters because that's the highest frequency. Now it's asking me for the exact frequency I want to calibrate on. I'm going to select 14010 because that's what I was always using. It's easy to recognize. Now it's asking me for a CW carrier on that very frequency, and I'm going to connect my TinySA. I'm going to inject that. You can do that also with a commercial transceiver, even just loose coupling, not directly connect. Never ever directly connect that to the transceiver. It will blow up the input. But when you have a strong carrier nearby on that frequency, that will be enough. However, I'm using the tools I have, so I'm going to inject it via TinySA. Because the TinySA has a function generator, a frequency generator, and I'm using that to insert a signal over a tap. This is the automatic calibration. It's calibrating the IQ balance and the reference frequency for you automatically. That's it. Now the frequency is calibrated and it's usually spot on. Now, next step, it will ask me to connect the dummy load. And I'm going to do that. Now, basically, the 40 dB tab and my additional tab acts as a dummy load. I'm going to confirm with enter. It's now generating all kinds of signals. It even tested when you heard the, I don't know if you heard the clicks, but it also tested whether your band selection was correct. I'm going to confirm that with enter now, and it's asking me to connect 12 volt so it can repeat the calibration. So what I'm doing now is connect 12 volts and repeat the calibration. Okay, didn't recognize it. Now it works. So it's repeating the same calibration for 12 volts. Says OK. And the next thing, it's asking me to speak in order for the microphone input to be calibrated. However, this is probably going to disappear, or I don't know. Maybe it won't. More to that later, because the microphone is something we need to talk about. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot. Delta Lima 2 Mike Alpha November. Delta Lima 2 Mike Alpha November. Delta Lima. Okay, so now it has measured the gain, and that's about it. I'm going to press enter, and it says ready. Now I'm ready to flash the work firmware, which is what I'm going to do now. Before we go into the firmware, this is another tool that is a byproduct of the calibration or the process here, the firmware rebuild. This is a tool that reads out the EEPROM dump to basically see whether your calibration was successful, what values were gathered, and even prints a curve for your linearity of your PA. I don't know if that will be released because that's just for debugging for me. However, just wanted to show you that there's a lot of work in progress and a lot of work going on. I already spent hours, actually weeks. Now let's have a look at the firmware itself. You will already recognize that the screen is looking different. If we go to menu, and by the way, the display is really slow, this will be faster. This is on my to-do list. However, I want to fix a few bugs first. So this is not the final version. Don't complain. Now we have a list here of the menu. Some points will be familiar to you, like volume, mode, filter bandwidth. By the way, I reprogrammed CW filters and SSB filters. They are really good actually, but yeah, I will see at the end if I need to rework them or not. At least I started my complete set of filters. They will be completely different from what you know so far. And the fun thing about that is, now that I have the filters reworked, there is now this CW pitch in the menu. Here, CW pitch 700 is now selected. And that not only sets your side tone and your offset from your center frequency for the CW decoding, it also shifts the filters, the center of the filter. So if you select 800 Hz pitch, the center filter will be 800 Hz, and if you select 500 Hz, center filter will be 500 Hz. That's also something that wasn't there before. Okay, all the rest is known. Probably a lot of stuff will throw out. But the fun thing starts when we look at the functionality. Now, if I transmit, I'm connected to the dummy load, nothing happens. I'm transmitting simply a CW signal. Everything's fine. Now, what happens if I disconnect the antenna, or the dummy load in that case, and I retransmit? It immediately prevents me from transmitting because it detects high SWR. See? It won't let me transmit because that's the second most thing people complained about, blown PA FETs. To prevent that, we need active protection, and that firmware has it. And that, by the way, also works for SSB. However, as you all know, for SSB we need a carrier or a modulation. Test, test. See, it also blocked transmission of SSB in that case. And now the reason for the setup here. Actually, I'm using this tool, which is also a byproduct of this development, to measure the results. So what it does is you can connect it to the TrueSDX to generate, to send like a two-tone signal in that case, over the air, or not over the air, actually into that tap into the ICOM, and it grabs the audio input from the ICOM, and I do my own IMD measurements because I will only release it if it's measurably better. That's the whole point here. See, if I now transmit, you see the IMD measurement ongoing. I can record, I can analyze it, and whatnot. That's what I'm doing right now, and as you can see here, this here is actually noise that doesn't belong there. That's signals that are being written while the signal is going through the line. I need to get rid of that, and that's where I am. I want to improve stuff, but I'm not there yet. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about the microphone. In the whole development process, I realized there is one big issue that prevents the TrueSDX from actually having good modulation. And by the way, that's also true for all the former variants that were also part of our development, Guido's and mine. And everyone else who just copied that error with us. So it affects all of them. It can't be fixed by firmware. And the problem is the microphone input is very low. We have a 1.1 volt reference voltage. That is the ADC input. And we are using a few millivolts of that. So out of 1024, I think, steps, we are using only 30. Imagine that. 30 steps of 1024 make our modulation. And that's the reason why the TrueSDX and every uSDX variant sounds like it sounds. Anyway, right now it's working, it's generating speech, and it's somehow decent. However, it sounds like it sounds, and to fix that, I will be probably adding a little amplifier to the microphone input, so we are using the full ADC range, and then really good speech quality should be possible. That's an optional fix. That's a very cheap thing here I bought from Amazon. I'm going to try that out. This is still part of me experimenting here, and it's probably going to take a while until I'm ready. However, now you know what has happened, what's the state, what to expect, and what not. All that you've just saw, I had to film 2 times because clever me forgot to switch on the microphone. So here we are. Now you know what I did, what I'm working on. I don't know how long it will take. And by the way, just remembering you, Guido has the last word on firmware. So if he says no, nothing is going to happen, out of respect for his work. And by the way, still unbeaten. But probably something to look forward to, and that will be available hopefully for all of you TrueSDX users out there, and will improve your experience and will address some serious issues. That's about it. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss when it happens. See you soon. Bye bye.